wins the AEW All-Atlantic Championship at Forbidden Door. Alex Windsor has won the Pro Wrestling Eve. She won. She will challenge Maki Itoh for the TJPW International Princess Championship. Chris Ridgeway returns to Noah to defend his GHC Junior Heavyweight Championship at Destination 2022. The latest on Progress 24/7 and the Deadly Viper Tour. The latest entrance for the Rev Pro Queen of the Ring, plus updates on the Great British Tag League. All 8 entrants for TNT Extremes Project X Cruiserweight Tournament have been announced. More matches announced for ICW Shug's Host Party 7 and so much more. We've got so much to cover. Hello, we're back. We are Tea and Tights, the Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net. I am the Great British Attack Team, Mr. Andrew Moore, Andy to most. Up there is Big Daddy Dan, Mr. Daniel Allen, Councillor Daniel Allen, just Dan for short. And I'm a married man now.
Hey, congratulations, my friend. Very nice.
Very nice indeed. I'm trapped. I can't go anywhere anymore. There we go. I'm great wedding. You were at Glastonbury this weekend, which is why we have missed 2 weeks, but we're kind of dropping in halfway in because there's just so much to go through. And if we had to wait anymore, then there'd be even more to go through. We have actually a new member, hopefully joining our team, Mark, a contributor with myself at bodyslam.net. He's going to be joining us to talk about Irish wrestling as a whole. I've actually recorded it earlier, so we'll be editing in a little while. He talks to me about OTT and Fight Factory Pro, as well as Phoenix Wrestling. We also discuss a few of the bits that myself and Dan will be discussing on the main show, and it'll be great. Good to get an Irish perspective, because we do ignore Ireland a little bit, don't we?
We are a Great British Wrestling show. We do a little bit, but thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Indeed. Absolutely, genuinely nice guy. I'm a bit worried because my new wife, she does love an Irish accent, and he has got a very so if you love the Irish accent, you're gonna love Mark.
So, shall I start the news?
We'll start off with Pac, AEW, Forbidden Door. He is the All Atlantic champion.
AEW definitely need with more belts.
Yes, it was a great night for British wrestling. I don't think a lot of people have taken this into account and stock barrel of it when you consider Will Osprey putting on a match of the night gear performance with Orange Cassidy, Zack Sabre Jr. doing the same with Mr. Claudio Castagnoli, and of course Pac winning the Atlantic Championship. Shota Umino getting a match as well. It's a great for British wrestling as a whole.
Of course, Lord William Regal, Sir William Regal, Mr. William Regal on commentary. So, yeah, it was just a phenomenal night for British wrestling. And I think you're right. People haven't quite picked up how big a thing that is.
Because obviously Will Osprey, he was carrying the Rev Pro UK belt as well. The amount of people now going to be, what's Rev Pro UK if they didn't know before? So hopefully it would be great. But you know what? There's probably 101 podcasts, probably more than that, talking about that already. We, of course, the Great British Wrestling Podcast. So, Daniel, what is the first big story in the British wrestling news?
The first big story is from Pro Wrestling Eve, where Alex Windsor has won the She Won. Congratulations to Alex Windsor. I believe that was your call, wasn't it?
It was my call. I know you went with Casey, but I said Alex Windsor. She's just so hot at the moment. She is literally on fire, and it's amazing to see her getting this recognition. I really need to subscribe to Pro Wrestling Eve. I need to I guess with Powerful TV I'm gonna have a bit of funds to put towards a new subscription, so maybe Pro Wrestling Eve is the because they are the top women's promotion in Europe
and one of the top ones in the world, and that feeds into the rest of the story, because Alex Windsor wouldn't say who she wanted in the main event of Wrestle Queendom 5, but she did say she wants to be the undisputed international champion, calling out both Eve's international champion Laura Di Matteo and Tokyo Yoshi Pro's International Princess Champion, Maki Itoh. Ooh, that could be nice.
Indeed. Of course, Rio just faced Maki Itoh for the International Princess Championship. She unsuccessfully, of course, but she put in a great effort, and Maki Itoh did say that she would want to have another match with her in the UK. So hopefully we'll see Maki Itoh back at Pro Wrestling E sometime soon. I know she grabbed, when she was over last time with the Eve audience, she took the Eve audience under him, and they absolutely took to her. And again, it kind of leads into the next part, which is Alex Windsor will actually be now challenging Maki Itoh for the International Princess Championship on the 9th of July. And this is going to be at Tokyo Joshi Pro's Summer Sun 2022 show. Should be fantastic. You know, I'm gonna have to, I do have the Wrestle Universe. I haven't watched the Rio. I really need to watch Rio's because she had that run, but I'll definitely try and make sure I do watch the Alex Windsor Maki Itoh. She's not the only person returning to Japan.
No, she's not. Chris Ridgeway is on his way back to Japan to defend his GHC Junior Heavyweights Tag Team Championship alongside Yoshinari Ogawa at Pro Wrestling Noah's Destination 2022 at the Budokan against Itoh and Kotaro Suzuki.
Yeah, I believe Itoh and Kotaro Suzuki were among the people who attacked and assaulted Chris Ridgeway on his last day when him and Ogawa were defending the GHC Junior Heavyweight Championships. So I no doubt that Chris Ridgeway is dying to get his hands on them. And as I say, he absolutely just, him and Ogawa as a tag team, they may not be like tag special move, but the way they work together and they just absolutely isolate off whoever is in the ring with, it's phenomenal, and I love it. And yeah, Ogawa Ridgeway, top tag team, and good luck to them defending their belts. Of course, the current Progress World Champion, and speaking of the Progress World Championship, at the Electric Ballroom on the 24th of July, Progress do return with Chapter 136 24/7. Get it? 24/7, 24 July. The Americans might not understand it because to them is the 4th. They do it the other way around, but no, 24/7, 24th of July, and the Thunderbasta match is returning. Yay. 8 competitors set to battle out for a shot at Chris Ridgeway's Progress Championship. This matchup has become sort of like interwoven with the history of Progress. You know, it's a Progress original matchup, and so many #1 contenders have come from this type of matchup. I did write an article about it recently, so go check that out on bodyslam.net. But for now, the 8 competitors are Gene Money, Kid Lycos, Dean Allmark, Axel Tiska, Man Like Doris, and Spike Trevay.
Ooh, he's going to be applauded. Also, there has been another announcement for somebody else who's in the Thunderbasta match that was announced.
Yes, I thought I'd left someone out.
You have indeed. It is Dan Maloney.
Ooh, sorry, Dan. Didn't mean to leave you out there. Yeah, that is going to be hard hitting. Of course, tag team partners 0121 are in there. So that's going to be interesting. I'm sure they're just going to batter each other. They know the deal. Who do you think will be Chris Ridgeway's first challenger then?
Axel Tiska.
You know, I was thinking Axel Tiska as well. So
I know they've done a lot to build up Spike, and they need to do something else for Spike, but I think Axel Tiska was the one.
Yeah, because the way they left it with Ridgeway winning Super Strong Style 16, it was not the popular choice. The fans were well behind G Money and or Warren Banks, and well, Chris Ridgeway, he crushed those dreams. severely as well. He really did. That match against G Money. Oh, poor G Money, and oh, poor Warren Banks. Check it out on the WWE Network this weekend. Heartbreaking stuff. So yeah, I don't think Spike's the right choice at the moment. Maybe we can build some sort of avenue for Spike to be distracted for a little while. I'm sure his thing with Tom Dawkins isn't over yet anyway, so but as you say, yeah, I'd like to see Axel Tisca versus Chris Ridgeway, because I think they will have a goddamn phenomenal match.
Oh, well. And of course, Axel Tisca, not the only representative from WXW that is going to be at 24/7.
Oh yes, at 24/7, Maggot versus Charles Crowley, 1-on-1. The world wanted it, and we've got it.
I'm not surprised they brought Maggot back straight away. After his reaction over the weekend, he was just universally appreciated.
He really, really was so over with the crowd, and I absolutely love that, because I think Maggot is phenomenal, and the way he carries himself on WXW Germany right now, it's just so bloody good, and he's just like this charismatic enigma to still a legend.
So even though we've got a Rev Pro Championship on display at AEW, we've got AEW Superstars at Progress, because we have Swerve the Realist and Nick Wayne.
Yes, of course, Nick Wayne, the young superstar from stand out on the US independent scene, signing with AEW. Had a recent match with Will Osprey. Apparently, it was a match of the year contender again.
What a shocker!
What if it's just Will Osprey for you when it comes down to it. Also, RKJ is going to be in action, as are the new Progress World Tag Team Champions, Sunshine Machine. And what do they rule?
They do. We love Sunshine Machine.
They've also recently announced that NXT UK's Elias Alexander will be in action, and as will Lana Austin.
Hey. Following this, of course, Progress will kick off their Deadly Viper tour. First up is Sheffield at the O2 Arena on the 13th of August with Copperhead, followed by Newcastle at the Boiler Shop on the 14th of August with Coppermouth, and Konosuke Takashita was being announced for that show. Yeah,
for both of those shows. That's looking forward to that, because I should be going to the Newcastle show in the Boiler Shop, Cottonmouth, and I'm a big fan of Konosuke Takashita, so I'm really looking forward to seeing him compete.
Next stop will be in Birmingham at the O2 Academy on the 25th of September with California Mountain Snake, where Chris Brooks makes his return to Progress for this show. And he's not coming alone, as it has recently been announced that his CDK tag team partner, Masa Takanashi, will also be there.
Yeah, so they're both due to be in the World Tag Team Festival over in Germany the weekend after. So it's not a surprise to seeing both of these guys pop up in Progress the week before, just for a flyby visit, I guess.
It's then on to Manchester with Sidewinder on the 9th of October at the O2 Ritz. No big announcements as of yet. And the final stop of the Deadly Viper tour will be in Cardiff, Wales at the Tramshed with Snake Charmer on the 16th of October. But that is not the first time that Progress are going to be in Wales, is it, Andy?
No, because of course they're going to be joining the WWE over in Wales on the the weekend, the 3rd and the 4th of September, because they will be in action on the 4th of September at the Tramshed in Cardiff. It will be Chapter 140 Wrestling Golf Madrid in that order. And as I say, that'll be following the WWE Premium Live event, but technically it's not part of the Deadly Viper tour.
In other news, the first 2 days of the Super Strong Style 16 are now available to stream via the WWE Network, and of course available on Progress On Demand, with the final 3rd day coming this weekend to the network, but already available, I believe, on Demand.
Possibly, but definitely go check those out, because these were amazing shows. I might actually rewatch all 3 shows just to see if I can get a new perspective on it. Of course, I have checked it out a little bit, you know, because I was checking to see if we can see me up on the balcony, and yes, we can see me on the balcony. I have made my WWE Network debut because
child.
I was on. Yes, you can see me. I unfortunately didn't get the shout out that Simon Miller did give me on the second show regarding my stag do. Didn't make the cut because they were cleaning out the ring. And you know what? I used to moan all the time that they used to leave the Jim doing his jokes and things in all the time and his crowd interactions. It used to get on my nerves a little bit. Now I miss it.
And of course, ladies and gentlemen, do take the time to have a watch of the special interview that Andy did during this weekend.
Yeah, I got to speak to Anthony at Gogo. That was absolutely fantastic. In that interview, we talked about many things, including people that he might want to take on in progress. And I just happened to mention Malik because Malik was in just line of sight at the time. So I just thought I'd mention him. I just thought it'd be a great match. The heavy hitter versus the governor. I mean, what a matchup that would be. Of course, he talks about his respect for the heavy hitter, but did say that, you know, if they ever did cross paths. And of course, that started a little bit of a Twitter issue between the two. And old Costantina, Mr. Costantina, sorry, he called us out. He said that we were always biased towards the CPF, and
we are.
I mean, I did say, to be fair, that is true. We do love the CPF, but I did say that we love Malik, and the fact is, if he wanted to, he could come on our show and discuss this. You know, because we are a fair podcast. We do this all the time. You know, if someone calls us out, we'll allow him onto the show. And you know, I did say he wants a lot of money for it, though, and I'm just not sure if we're going to be able to afford it. If I'm really, you know, I called his representatives and they were just like, this much, and I was like, really? I'm like, I'll talk to Dan. Well, we'll have to talk about it off screen, see what we can do.
If it goes beyond the usual rider of 50p and a packet of grapes, I don't know if we'll be able to do it.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Well, speaking of, right, I tell you what, Wrestling Entertainment Series, of course, they haven't given up yet. They are now, they have announced their next show, their first show that got rescheduled. And have you looked at the lineup?
I have, because the lineup hasn't changed massively because they've had to change the date. They've lost a lot of their big names, including their biggest name, which was, of course, Adam Scherr. Whether we consider him to be the biggest name or not, we can consider him to be the biggest something. He has been replaced with Moose.
Yeah, honestly, better.
Yeah, good choice.
Honestly, you want the truth is Moose. I absolutely love Moose. He is so, I don't want to say underrated, or maybe I do, because he's just a fantastic performer. You know, fine, he's probably not going to give you 5-star matches, but he gives you some real hard-hitting, good matches.
Genuinely loves what he's doing.
Yeah.
Also announced are Alistair OBrien, Eric Young, Lindsay Dorado, the Legion of Pain without their manager, because he's not available now. Zach Zodiac, hey, they're listening to us.
Yeah. Samurai
Del Sol, Molly Spartan, and Big Damo, amongst others, on July the 9th in Nottingham. Yeah,
good to see, finally. They've obviously, maybe they did hear what we had to say, which was, why are you here and not representing any British talent? They've looked into it. Zach Zodiac, great choice. Ricky Knight, of course, cousin. Legendary Family of the Knights, good wrestler. Big Damo and Molly Spartan, two phenomenal talents to have on your card. So I look forward to seeing who they possibly go up against. As you say, it'll probably be Moose versus Alistair OBrien now that Scherr's not available.
Sure, that has been announced, yeah.
Yeah.
But enough of a show that probably won't happen. Let's move on to one that definitely will. Rev Pro UK's Queen of the Ring is coming on the 9th of July, same date, in Huntingdon, offering much better wrestling. Recently added to the tournament is the bad girl, Chantel Jordan, Alexis Falcon, and Clementine, and they will join the previously announced Rhea O'Reilly, Kira Chimera, Maya Matthews, and LA Taylor. Alex Windsor, however, will no longer be in the tournament as she is off, as we mentioned earlier, to face Maki Itoh in Japan, the Tokyo Yoshi Pro Princess Championship, International Princess Championship.
Indeed. So far good lineup. I like it. I have certainly noticed one thing with regards to this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we did talk about a while back with regards to Gabriel Kidd returning. No Mariah May.
No.
She was a huge part of Rev Pro UK for a good long period. I know Zoe Lucas isn't quite ready to return yet. Hopefully she will be, because she had some fantastic news recently. And fingers crossed everything continues to go well. And we might get to see Zoe Lucas and the Dream Dolls, because I always love Mariah May with Zoe Lucas. So yeah, it's disappointing to not see her yet. Of course, there is one more name to be announced. Maybe she will replace Alex Windsor. And I'm glad Windsor's not in the tournament. She's the champion.
Yeah.
I think
you should always have people chasing.
Yeah, and I like the youth in this tournament. They've got a lot of fresh young names in there. It's fresh young talent. If you look at that, Chantel Jordan, Alexis Falcon, Clementine, Chimera, Maya Matthews especially, LA Taylor, another one, all really, really starting to break out into. And as you say, Rev Pro, we do say it often, Rev Pro UK probably don't do enough to highlight women's wrestling. So good shows. They're going to be in Huntingdon, so it's going to be a double show, 2 shows in one day. So I don't know if you're, don't know what you're doing. See what you're doing.
I shall have to have a look.
Indeed. Of course, currently running is the Great British Tag League, with Block A being decided at their next show live in London 63, which is July 3rd. And that will be ahead of Summer Sizzler. Sunshine Machine are on 3 points, and they face the Velocities on 6 points. Lycos Gym are on 3 points, and they take on Yota Tsuji and Shota Umino. And I'll be talking more about this in my Rev Pro UK reviews.
Block B was decided at Rev Pro Live in Sheffield on the 10th of July, it will be. Destination Everywhere will collide with Aussie Open once again, with both teams on 6 points. Will the Arrows of Hungary end their Great British Tag League run with 3 points or not, as they pick up a win, if they pick up a win over the Smoking Aces, who have 0 points?
They did. So,
they did.
Yes, Arrows of Hungary did finish with 3 points, and Smoking Aces finished with 0 points.
Can we have a moan about the next match that's been announced?
Let me do my Rev Pro UK, because I think we should deserve to have a moan about the fact Smoking Aces finished pointless.
They're never pointless, but they didn't get points.
But yeah. So let me, I'm going to do my Rev Pro UK reviews very quickly. They're just going to be cliff notes of everything that happened. And these are the 3 latest shows that are available on Rev Pro On Demand, their new service, which is a much improved service. The video quality images are much better. The high definition is a lot better, and so far good start to the new system. So this was Mayhem. This catches us all the way up to everything that's been on Rev Pro UK so far. So Lycos Gym defeated Sunshine Machine. RKJ defeated Mark Davis. Gabriel Kidd and Luke Jacobs defeated Destination Everywhere. Carl Fletcher defeated Ninja Mac. Alex Windsor defeated Chantel Jordan. Tony Deppen defeated Robbie X. And the Velocities defeated Shota and Yota. So my Cliff Note versions of this is surprise at the booking decisions regarding the Great British Tag League. Kid and Jacobs versus Destination Area Everywhere was a great match. Fletcher versus Ninja Mac was incredibly entertaining. It was a great main event, although disappointed Robbie didn't get the win over Tony Deppen. And as I say, so yeah, I thought the Velocity's getting the win over Itoh and Shota. I mean, I can see where they're going with this whole Itoh and Shota storyline, and I'll continue that on my next point. But you know, the Velocities are so small compared to Yoda and Shota. Sorry, they are. It just, you know, I'm not. It takes me out of it a little bit. So just surprised that some of the decisions have come from there. At their next show, which was live at the Guildhall in Portsmouth, Umino defeated Mad Kurt. Maya Matthews defeated Kira Chimera. Paris Da Silva of the Velocities defeated Ninja Mac. Yota Tsuji defeated Jude London of the Velocities. Aussie Open defeated Arrows of Hungary. Gabriel Kidd defeated Tony Deppen. Destination Everywhere defeated the Smoking Aces. Now, if you remember last year, I literally just said that the, you know, Destination Everywhere lost to Jacobs and Kidd, an unestablished tag team, two great, phenomenal single competitors on the run of their lives over in Rev Pro UK right now. But two singles won over Destination Everywhere. I know where they're going with it, but yet the Smoking Aces didn't win over Destination Everywhere. And I love Destination Everywhere. They're a great tag team. And Smoking Aces are phenomenal. It was a good match. But weird decision for me, personally. Main event was great. Unsure of the booking decisions, almost burying the Aces, considering Oko Mills just lost to Kidd and Jacobs. Kurt impressed in defeat. I'm not sure how I felt about the fact that Yoda Tsuji only defeated Jude London of the Velocities due to a interference by Gideon. But I'm going to get into really where all of this is kind of going. Aussie Open versus the Arrows, as you can imagine, was just a great match, but could have been given more time. Kidd versus Deppen was a great wrestling match. Maya Matthews continues to look fantastic. She has a bright future. So my first show, I gave 3 sugars. To this show, I'm giving 3 1/4 sugars.
Mm-hmm.
So not good shows, but maybe just could have been better shows, and maybe some of the decisions here were weird for me, because at the next show, which was live in London 62, Destination Everywhere defeated the Arrows of Hungary. JJ Gale defeated Jude London without any interference. Alice Windsor defeated Rhea O'Reilly to retain her championship. Robbie X defeated Paris Da Silva of the Velocities. Gabriel Kidd defeated Mark Davis. And Sunshine Machine defeated the Legion, which is Shota Umino and Yota Tsuji currently. And Ricky Knight Jr. defeated Carl Fletcher. Yota and Shota have just embraced it. They're heels now. They beat the crap out of Sunshine Machine after their match, after they lost, and I love it. And for that, I'm kind of going to forgive the fact that they're not really getting any wins at the moment. And but I think we're going to see a real change in the wins for Yota Tsuji and Shota Umino, and I'm all for it. Alex Windsor and Rhea O'Reilly was less than 5 minutes and deserved probably better, especially Alex Windsor just deserves better. Destination Everywhere picking up a win over the Arrows of Hungary. As I say, they, you know, losing to an unestablished team to be in 2 really established tag teams. Not big fan of that. And Gabriel Kidd, Mark Davis was another hard-hitting Gabriel Kidd, Mark Davis match. And Ricky Knight Jr. versus Carl Fletcher was another hard-hitting Ricky Knight Jr. and Carl Fletcher match. But for some reason, I feel like I'm just seeing these matches all the time with Rev Pro UK at the moment. Overall, I'm going to give the Live in London show 3 sugars.
No Callum Newman for any of those shows.
No Callum Newman for any of those shows. Although I'm sure he's been busy recently. Yeah.
So the next bit of news is Michael Oku will be defending his British Cruiserweight Championship at Summer Sizzler on the 23rd of July against Luke Jacobs.
Yes. The Progress Atlas champion is going to challenge for, and in probably likelihood, beat Michael Oku for the Cruiserweight Championship. Now, Rev Pro UK are more aligned to the weight system of New Japan, which is 225 below and under, so 225 under and 225 and above, which is different to the Cruiserweight or 205 limit of the Atlas Championship and the WWE version of a Cruiserweight.
I still don't buy it.
So he weighs, I think he probably weighs about 212, 209, somewhere between, I think it was 209 at one point. So it's going to be somewhere in and around there. So technically, yeah, he can be a cruiserweight and a heavyweight.
Unless they show him trying to make weight in a chicken suit, I'm not for this.
Well, you have to just buy into the fact that they use a 225 system and not a 205 system. But I do believe it. I do believe Quilden sometimes at Rev Pro UK does book some things in a way against Progress. I'm not saying that there's any beef or anything, but sometimes I feel like every now and then Quilden on commentary will say something or do something, like when Charlie Evans defended her championship when she was against Alex Windsor for the championship, and they mentioned the fact that she had just beat the Progress World Champion at a different show. I think the show was for Resurgence at the time, where Charlie Evans defeated Cara Noir. So you know, technically it's our champion versus the Progress champion.
Well,
I'm not saying there's any real, but there's tongue in cheek to it, I believe.
Yeah. They're doing some very interesting booking, because on July the 3rd at Live in London 63, Will Osprey will not be having a 5-star match.
Are you kidding? He's going to be having a 10-star match. This could be the greatest match in history.
Because Will Osprey is taking on Mad Kurt.
Yeah, this is poor Mad Kurt. He's already had a kick in off Will Osprey, because a couple of shows back, a few shows, I can't remember the exact show, he came out dressed as Minoru Suzuki. It was ahead of when Will Osprey was for the Epic Counters, but of course he dropped out of them anyway. Gave him a bit of a kick in alongside Aussie Open. Should be an interesting match. It should be. You got to remember, Kurt is a great wrestler when he wants to be.
And he can take a beating. Yeah,
that too.
And of course, Rev Pro UK, last piece of news, the anniversary show is confirmed for the 20th and 21st of July at York Hall in London.
Yeah, and our new guy, Mark, he will be live at that show. So he'll be giving us the feedback for that. He'll also be at 24/7 Progress. Should have mentioned that. So he's going to be at that show as well. So again, providing us more news.
Yay.
But just a little bit, well, not quite last bit for Rev Pro UK, but related to, because Rev Pro UK's undisputed cruiserweight champion Michael Oku will face Titus Alexander on the 27th of August for Garden State Pro Wrestling's Vikingdom Come in New Jersey. So again, great to see that Oku is getting some international bookings,
and he deserves it.
Yeah, I believe Titus Alexander just had a great match with Will Osprey, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, just random, isn't it?
TNT Extreme Wrestling have announced all 8 of the competitors for their upcoming Project X on the 21st of July. They will include Kid Like Us 2, Just Joe Lando, Malik Doris, Danny Black, Nico Angelo, Callum Newman, Leon Slater, and Maverick Mayhew.
Yes, you heard that right. All 4 of the CPF boys are in this. 2 members of Lycos Gym are in on this. And then we also have man like Doris and Leon Slater, who are technically teaming these days as the O2 one, and Boisterous and Co. or something they're called over in North Wrestling. But yeah, this I know there have actually been 2 matches announced, but we're going to talk about that next week. But who's your money on out of these 8?
I think I'm going to go with Nico Angelo.
I'm going to go with Nico Angelo as well. Damn you. I'm seeing, for me, yeah, I think I can see Nico Angelo versus Mark Caskins eventually for that Ultra X Championship, and that's going to be a great match. I think, you know what we should do on our next on the next show is using our rosters that we drafted all those years ago. We should do Project X cruiserweight tournament for our guys, for our teams, and maybe a bit of fantasy booking that one. We'll see, but I definitely think we should do our own version of Project X with our own drafted rosters, because it's been so long since we've done one.
And let's just point out that while we are always biased to close personal friends, we didn't pick them for this.
No, yeah, see, exactly. We're not always biased for them. Anyway, the Ultra X Championship will also be on the line at Project X. It will be Mark Caskins defending against Robbie X and Scotty Rourke in a triple threat, 3 generations of incredible junior heavyweight competitors, from Haskins just a little bit above from what Robbie X was doing, and then the new guy coming up at the moment, Scotty Rourke. It's going to be a phenomenal. I'm going to be at this show live. I will be. It'll be my first TNT Extreme show. Myself and my missus will be attending. We're going to have a couple of days in Liverpool, and then we're going to travel to Manchester to go to the Rev Pro UK Summer Sizzler show.
Lovely. Lovely.
We're going to be covering a lot of live wrestling these days, I think. A lot more, and it's going to be good.
TNT Ignition's All Eyes on Me is set for the 31st of July at the Fusion Bar in Liverpool. A huge #1 contenders fatal 4-way has been announced, with Big Guns Joe versus Simon Miller versus Chase Alexander versus RPD. Nice one. Lana Austin is set to challenge Alexis Falcon for the TNT Extreme Championship. And Shreddy will finally get his opportunity to challenge current TNT Ignition champion Cam Solis. Tom Thelwell, MVK, and the Mank will take on the Mank Union of JJ Webb and Sam Bailey.
Any matches standing out for you there?
Very much so. Shreddy versus Cam.
Yeah, straight 100%. Shreddy versus Cam going to be brilliant. I look forward to seeing Thelwell teaming with MVK against the Mank Union. It'll be interesting to see that MVK, an extremely talented young man.
Yeah. The TNT Extreme champion Alex Colon has been announced for GCW Liverpool on the 16th of September. Visage has laid out a challenge to Effie at the GCW versus TNT Extreme Wrestling on the 17th of September. And we will have all eyes on the cruiserweights on the 21st of July with Project X. We've just been spoiled by TNT, aren't we?
Yeah, because then they're going to give shine to the heavyweights with flawless victory. And the winner will get a shot at TNT Extreme's World Championship at Summer Explosion. That's 25th of August.
Hey.
So tournament to crown a new challenger for Dan. Good. Visage Effie, that should be an interesting one.
That'd be great.
Hard hitting and brutal, and yeah, that whole weekend does look to be fantastic. The only problem with that weekend is it's an expensive weekend. Not the ticket price. The ticket prices are actually quite fair. Yeah. It's hotel prices and then the cost of bloody travel to get there. So that might limit us being able to go to that weekend.
Yeah,
maybe just the Thursday show.
We shall see. Unfortunately, coming up from Hertfordshire, it ended up being well over 400 quid for the weekend, and it's just a lot of money. However,
even further afield.
Yes, but something that we'll be able to watch, which we can't do with TNT at the moment. Can't wait to find out what's happening with that. ICW have more matches that have been announced for Sugar's House Party on the 29th and 30th of July.
Yeah, plenty of great matchups by the looks of it. Sheik El Sham will be going on one-on-one with one of the top veterans of the industry in Martin Kirby, and that is on the 29th of July. The young team of Jimmy Pierce and Logan Smith will be facing the KOE, and Aaron Echo versus Levi, plus Molly Spartan defends the ICW Championship against Session Moth Martina. So that's on the 29th. Any matches again standing right out for you?
Young team versus KOE.
Should be a very interesting matchup. I'm just Sheik El Sham versus Martin Kirby. Top veteran, top young talent. I'm sure that's going to be excellent. And you know, Molly Spartan's been killing it lately, and I'm sure her match against Martina will be fantastic.
Yes. And then on the 30th of July, Thatcher's Cabinet team of Ian Skinner and Charles Weiss will face Grado and Ravy Davey. That would be fun. That would be a fun match. Plus, Mark Caskins will take on Stevie Boy in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Yeah, it's great.
Interesting. Of course, they are going to be part of that WWE weekend in Wales as well later in the year on the 3rd of September, technically the 4th of September, because they're going off at midnight directly off after the WWE show with What's Occurring, and Grado will be challenging Kez Evans for the ICW Heavyweight Championship. So he's going to be in action at Sugar's House Party. He's going to be the host of the House Party, and now he's going to be challenging for the ICW Heavyweight Championship. What do you make of this, Big Daddy Dan?
I think Grado is the perfect person to take the belt. Kez Evans needs to not lose in a wrestling match and not lose in a hardcore match, but in a comedy match, he would then have so much vitriol to come back. It would be brilliant. So I reckon Grado could win it.
Yeah, I like this. Okay, so now I've watched the last 2 weeks of ICW Fight Club. Here we go. 2 weeks ago, available on WWE Network, Zero defeated Grant McIver. Jason Reed wants to team with Andy Wilde. Leighton Buzzard and BT Gunn go to a time limit draw. And Molly Spartan defeated Lana Austin. This was only an hour and 17 minutes, but this felt really long. Not really by the wrestling, although the opener didn't help. I have just no investment for Zero or Grant McIver. I'm sure there might have been some build-up prior to this, but honestly, I just the whole Zero gimmick, I'm not a fan of it.
No, I'm not either.
Just not sold on it, absolutely. The show is somewhat saved by the fact that Leighton Buzzard and BT Gunn was a solid match, and the fact that Molly Spartan versus Lana Austin was a real hard-hitting scrap. Overall, I would give this show 2.5 sugars. Then the next show, Jack Jester defeated Jackie Polo. The KOE defeated Wild and Reed, Andy Wilde and Jason Reed. This was due to the fact that Coach Tripp sabotaged them. And then Dad's Black defeated Mark Haskins. Not a particularly great start. I wasn't a fan of the opener. Kind of like this Jason Reed, Andy Wilde, Coach Tripp thing going on. That's quite a decent angle. Black versus Haskins was a really, really good match, but I still felt it could have been better. Overall, this was 2.5 sugars again.
Oh,
okay. Now we're going to cut it to myself with our new colleague Mark, and we're going to be talking about OTT, FFP, and so much more. So over, well, to me. Why, thank you, me. Yes, as I just mentioned, I am here with Mark O'Brien, a contributor for Wrestling Inc. and for BodySlamFam.net, along with myself. He's going to be here to talk about some of the Irish wrestling that's coming up, but he's going to be hopefully joining the team to talk about a lot of British wrestling, because I know you've got a few shows lined up in with Rev Pro UK and Progress, but today you're here to talk about OTT and FFP, that's over the top wrestling, and Fight Factory Pro, based over in Ireland, like yourself. You're in Portugal right now. I can see the sunny background. How you doing?
All good, mate. All good, mate. Thanks very much. Yeah, no, absolutely. Here to kind of provide more of an Irish perspective to the British Wrestling podcast. So hopefully bring a bit more levity and balance to proceedings. So thanks very much again. So yeah, so the past couple of weeks, OTT, Over the Top Wrestling, have done a past couple of shows. One in based in Limerick, their Outer Space Odyssey 6, and then they've done their Belfast show, Banjacks 3. So these shows, Limerick's kind of a new market for OTT. So the crowd is kind of more focused on kind of children. Just might necessarily have had the best atmosphere as what we had in Belfast the weekend, but two really good cards full of kind of stacked stars as well. So just kind of a breakdown kind of what we did, what the shows were, and kind of who's on the card and whatnot. Kind of the highlight, or the main event rather, for the Limerick show was Sammy D versus Gene Money. Now Sammy D is the No Limits champion here in Dublin. Actually, he's based out in Nace. So Gene Money obviously coming over from Progress, his big star coming in. You could see from his kind of presence and the way he worked and everything, he was a really, really top level star, and obviously guys kind of have great exposure and of late across Progress and different UK based shows as well. So it's great exposure for Sammy D, and you get to see Sammy D as the snake really kind of play up the villain role, and G Money really play up to his kind of his daddy dog, he kept calling himself during the show. It was great fun. And then my personal highlight from the show was LJ Cleary versus Shota Umino. Now, a lot of you might obviously recognize Shota Umino from his performance over the weekend at Forbidden Door for AEW versus New Japan Pro Wrestling. So Shota, who was very good, very nice guy. He was the first person in the building, took photos of all the fans. He was a lovely guy to have a chat with afterwards. And he was also took time with people after the show. I was really, really impressed with that, ahead of obviously the biggest week of his career, probably. But LJ Cleary, who's been working across like Phoenix Wrestling, FFP, OTT, and working all across Europe as well, kind of smaller promotions like in Austria and Italy as well. He's been exposed to far kind of higher standard of matches every time everywhere he goes at the minute. So it's a really good back and forth match with Shota Umino picking up the win. Following that, we had Limerick's own Steve Savage versus Renzo Rose. Now, Renzo Rose is possibly my favorite performer in all of Irish wrestling at the minute. He's an Italian young man, but he's very much a perfect mix between Santino Morello and The Miz. Everything he does is over the top. He's not quite as like childish as you'd find with Santino Morello, but he's far more heel antics. He was very entertaining, spent a huge amount of time with the crowd interaction, comes to the ring in an opera mask, pretending to hand out roses rather to the crowd, and before obviously rescinding his offer. And then Steve Savage's new face in the scene here in OTT himself said that it was his dream to always perform in an OTT crowd. He's based in Limerick himself, so he had the home advantage and home crowd, so it's good to see him pick up the win there as well. Following that, we had Scotty Davis versus Man Like Dries. Now, I'd never seen Man Like Dries in person before, and I thought he was incredibly talented, incredibly athletic, and everything he did, his crowd interaction with his entrance over the top, and his get up, and his rapping on the way to the ring, and getting his crowd interaction. When I say 0-1, you say 2-1 and whatnot. But he was facing Scotty Davis, another up and coming performer here in Dublin. So I thought it was an incredibly good match, and Man Like Dries picked up the win. Following that, then we had Sean Guinness from based in No Limits Wrestling, primarily here in Ireland, teaming up with UK's own Ava White. Now, Ava White I've seen a couple of times previously, and I think she's a star in the making. I think she could walk onto any television pro based in kind of what the female wrestling you see around various different companies, particularly over in the US. And her presence, her crowd interaction, her actual in-ring wrestling is improving every time I've seen her also. And they're taking on OTT's own Jay, teaming up with Debbie Keitel. Debbie Keitel is the OTT Women's Champion. She was fantastic. You can also see she takes a lot of her influences from somebody like Session Moth Martina, and you can see the reason why she's the OTT Women's Champion. Even in the intermission, it took a huge amount of time to interact with every crowd in the audience once they picked up their win. Every child in the audience going around taking everything free of charge, taking photos, signing autographs, take as much time as possible, which is really, really impressive, just as a person as much as a wrestler. And then the last match of the evening was Martin Steers team up with Fabio versus the Ring Technicians. Now, Martin Steers and Fabio, they come across as kind of an odd pairing type thing, whereby Martin Steers is kind of almost treated as the young boy to Fabio, whereby Fabio is in the ring, he's refusing to tag Martin, and the whole match is typically built up around Martin eventually getting in, cleaning house, and then just when he's about to finish, Fabio come in with a blind tag, and come in, then eventually lose the match. Two of them argue after the match, and then ship off into the crowd. Then, the ring technicians are two younger wrestlers. They're based over in Ireland. They're very good. Their appearance, I would have said, was a mixture between the Young Bucks and the Rockers. Now I know obviously the Young Bucks derive a lot of their own wrestling from the Rockers, but it was kind of interesting to see that, particularly wouldn't culturally be that kind of look over here in Ireland. So it's kind of good. It was a very colourful, very dramatic match, very much a fun crowd involvement match to bring people into the show from the outset. So it's a brilliant show. Really enjoyed it. That was last Sunday, and then this past Sunday we had a show up here in Belfast for Banjacks 3. Now the main event of that match was Mark Caskins versus Man Like Dries for the OTT Championship. Mark Haskins came with his own wife, Vicky Haskins, and they were an incredible double act, I thought. Then Mark comes across really as like the sleazy, dirty, slimy heel. When Man Like Dries, he impressed me even further. Like throughout the whole match, the whole match was built around building heat on him, selling, throwing more and more facials, more and more crowd sympathy, and some of the athleticism in between selling his own leg injury or whatever's been worth the time was incredible. I thought several times that he was actually going to win the OTT Championship, but it was just showed the caliber of the match was put together, that Mark Haskins eventually pulled out of the bag with an assist from Vicky Haskins. My favorite match of the night was, as I said, touched on previously, my favorite wrestler in Ireland is Renzo Rose, and he was fighting Tajiri. Now, the whole match was based around Renzo trying to bully the referee, interact with the crowd, running away from Tajiri. Tajiri might give him a look, and he's, start again, like that mixture between Santino Morello and the Miz, that typical heel. That kind of playful pantomime type of atmosphere of match, I thought it was incredibly enjoyable, as he's interacting with the crowd, swearing away in Italian, giving it all that, throwing roses at people. And then towards the end of the match, he thinks he has the match won, offers a rose to Tajiri, and then Tajiri comes out with the green mist, blows it right in his face. If you can see it online, there's some fantastic photos of Renzo holding the mist out, or holding the rose out, covered in mist, head to toe, as Tajiri knocks him to his knees, hits the buzzsaw kick for the 1, 2, 3. Then following that, we had from All Japan Pro Wrestling coming over with Tajiri with the Itoh brothers. Now, I'd never seen them myself before. They're a Japanese-American tag team, two twins. You can tell they're absolute spits of each other. They've absolutely great experience over in Japan. They've been touring around North America recently, and now coming over to the UK and Ireland. They're fighting Kings of the North. Now, they're quite experienced tag team. They're 3-time OTT tag team champions. They've been fighting over in ICW and various different promotions across the UK. This is an incredibly physical match. Two teams genuinely batter the head off each other. Now, if somebody who really enjoys tag team wrestling, I quite enjoyed that. Just to see the actual level of physicality. Obviously, we're based up in the show is in Belfast. The Kings of the North, both of them are from Belfast, and I hadn't seen them in person before performing. I wasn't aware of the kind of various different chants and the crowd interaction, how big of a following they had. So they're very much treated like hometown heroes. Which again, kind of as it was placed with the third card from the top, it kind of builds that atmosphere as the show was going on towards the Tajiri Renzo match into the Mark Haskins Man Like Dries match, with Kings of the North then picking up the win as well. So again, that was one of my favorite matches of the night. We also had, again, much like the previous card, we had Fabio and Martin Steers versus Martina Session Moth and Jade this time. He'd been tagging with Debbie Kyle last week. Again, much the same as last week's match. It was very much a case of playing up to the crowd, whereby Fabio's refusing to tag Martin in. Martin eventually gets in, comes out like a hot house like fire, eventually kind of building to a point where Fabio then sneaks back into the ring. So over the coming weeks, I imagine that'll be quite combustible. Session with Martina, she was like, obviously she's massively popular over in Japan, world-renowned famous wrestler. So she could see she was quite a level above most people on the card. I thought she's incredibly talented. Her crowd interaction, her facials, her in-betweens, as they call it, were incredibly effective. Now, they won the match, but post that match, Jay actually got on the microphone and said that over on the Poetry Slam show in the coming weeks for OTT, that he'll be challenging Martina along with Speedball Mike Bailey for the gender neutral OTT championships. So that was incredibly exciting. It's going to be a three-way match between three incredibly talented performers. Speedball Mike Bailey versus Martina kind of has me salivating in the mouth, see what that's going to be like going forward. We had a young prospect from Fight Factory Pro Wrestling called Limo. It's very much an inner city Dublin gimmick versus Tucker, a very hardened wrestler and built like a shit brick house from Northern Ireland. The two, Tucker essentially took took Limo to task and battered him from pillar to post, eventually picking up the win, making Limo submit. So that was good again. He got a kind of a hometown reaction. Then the last match of the evening was Sammy D, who fought. He was the No Limits champion. He was supposed to fight Charlie Sterling, but Charlie Sterling over the weekend actually dislocated his knee. So he was supposed to be team with Charlie Sterling. The two of them were teaming against a new tag team, two young guys called Kelly August Lynch, which for the English listeners means Kelly and Lynch. That's an Irish, it's obviously a word for and. But actually with Charlie pulling out, it ended up being a three-way match with Kelly versus Lynch versus Sammy D. And Sammy D very much played up to the point whereby it was a 2-on-1. Kelly August Lynch fighting against Sammy. Sammy eventually sneaks out. The two of them Kelly and Lynch start fighting with each other. Sammy eventually throws one of them out the ring, isolates one of them, picks the 1, 2, 3. But again, it showed kind of Sammy's range as a very much a heel performer, and his why he's so heavily favored across Irish wrestling as the next up and coming great heel, I suppose. And then on a high level, Five Factory Pro had one of their best shows of late on Friday night. They saw Progress Wrestling owned Cara Noir versus LJ Cleary. LJ Cleary, who fought Shota Umino last week. Cara Noir picking up the victory there. Gene Mummy was over as well, having been in Limerick last week. Also, he was fighting against FFPW's own Dom Tuck, again picking up the wing. And then we had Fabio and Kong versus Martin Steers and Justin Daniels. Now, obviously in OTT, Martin and Fabio are teamed together, but it's good to see them against each other here now, actually finally coming to blows. We also had the Bearded Beauties and Peanut Butter and Jelly versus the Saviors of Destiny and Billy Bedlam, with the Bearded Beauties and PBJ picking up the win. Now, going forward, FFPW's next big show is on the 22nd of July, which corresponding with the same day of OTT's Poetry Slam. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of crowd both shows get based on that. But it's FFPW's biggest show of the year. They're having their annual Grapple Games tournament, whereby you're going to have 6 competitors. You're going to have OTT Women's Champion Debbie Keitel, Justin Daniels, Klong, Fabio, Martin Steers, and Dom Tuck, all Dublin-based wrestlers, all young, competing for the Irish Junior Heavyweight title. That's going to be a round-robin tournament on the night to see who comes away with that. And then we're also having the Phoenix Wrestling Champion, Anita Vaughn, who'll be facing young prospect Maya Grace. So those are the kind of high-level highlights we've had over the kind of Dublin-based Irish wrestling scene. And we've also got one of the marquee matches coming up the coming weeks in Phoenix Wrestling. LJ Cleary will be fighting against Scotty Too Hottie, or Scotty Garland as he's now. So those are that's the kind of a quick roundup of what's going on and details in and out of how OTT has been progressing in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, OTT have been the top promotion in Ireland for several years now. They've got somewhat of an international following, good partnership with Rev Pro UK, with a lot of the Rev Pro UK guys doing work. I'm going to ask about Scotty Davis and what the crowd reaction is like for him, given his situation last year, and whether there should have been a statement made or not. I personally don't think he should have been banned, but I just felt like there should have been a statement. What do you think to that? Sorry to really throw a bit of a harsh question, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, as I kind of flagged, like, it was kind of the Limerick show. They're very new to the OTT audience. Like I'm having chatted with some of the kind of regulars, the OTT crowd. It's very much a new crowd, whereby you had a lot of families there, so you wouldn't necessarily have been aware of those kind of different situations. So I think it was more so like a show whereby somebody's seen wrestling advertised in Limerick for the first time in a good while. Bigger show, some recognizable names like Shota Umino, Sammy DG Money, are kind of highly promoted in the area. So a lot of kids, a lot of family who not necessarily understood the ins and outs of that. And Scotty Davis did get a relatively good reaction. Now it was good. It was a very good match, competitive match with a man like Doris. So, yeah, like I probably agree with that in terms of like that there should have been something made. Phenomenal performer, absolutely, but there was nothing made. There was nothing said from what I overheard anyway. As I was just too busy trying to transcribe notes as the match was going on.
That's
from what people have chatted. Again, there was nobody was really discussing that at any stage from what I could tell anyway.
Difficult loaded question to start you off there. Shota Umino, as you can see down there on my bottom left, he is a phenomenal talent, and I heard he had a really good debut for AEW, so I'm definitely going to have to check that out. Have you actually checked out Forbidden Planet, Forbidden Door yet?
Yes, I well, kind of bits and drabs. So as I said, I'm over in Portugal. I mean, I had, because of the backlog of flights over in Dublin, I had a 6 a.m. flight to Portugal yesterday, so I had to be in the Dublin airport for 2 a.m. So as I was standing in various different queues, I was kind of on my phone watching the fight app, watching Forbidden Door, and I was kind of, as I was going through security, getting progressively more and more excited, seeing Shota Umino and Kosterka go through their great back and forth. So like I thought it was, from what I've seen, I've eventually caught up with it now, and I'm in the middle of catching up with the Tony Khan media scrum as well. So like, yeah, from what I've seen, it was probably, it's one of those shows I wish I had like 5 hours just on day off, like a Monday morning or something, just to watch it in its entirety in one go with zero distraction. It looked absolutely incredible, even like the energy from the crowd and the crowd interaction and how much people are up to it, even like surprises like Shibata coming out, like I think everybody kind of had an idea that Claudio Castagnoli would come out, but even the way he debuted, and then he was also the hero who kind of closed the show. So I thought everything was incredibly well and meticulously planned, even to the end with Eddie Kingston shouting "F you" at Claudio, and showing that build towards Blood and Guts on Wednesday. So I honestly, based on the kind of build up to the show and the amount of injuries, and even people like Hiromu Takahashi pulling out the day before, and Stone Pitbull pulling out a couple of days beforehand, and the amount of curveballs I've had to deal with, I don't think they could have done better. And even on that, like, you see somebody step in like Clark Connors at the very last second. I thought he delivered above and beyond. I thought himself and Pac were 2 standout performers, whereas going into that match, I assumed that Miro or Malachi Black would be walking away with the All-Atlantic title. So yeah, couldn't have been better. I've got that.
It was great for British wrestling. Because if you think Pac winning, Will Osprey, great performance, Zack Sabre Jr., amazing performance. So it was huge for British wrestling. I haven't even Shota Umino, because he's trained and been in the UK now for 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah. No, it was absolutely fantastic. And you can kind of tell that Will Ospreay seemed to have a point to prove, particularly after the Kenny Omega interviews of late. Like, Kenny Omega's intentionally needing him up, possibly setting up something in the future, or also just potentially trying to be a dick. So you can kind of tell, like, okay, Will Ospreay's taking this as a challenge. Somebody who's kind of unorthodox, got a very different presentation, like Orange Cassidy. What can I do to make the absolute most out of this? Like, he hits his back elbow, second last move of the match, and letting Orange Cassidy kick out of that, building to the Stormbreaker finish following. That's why I couldn't get over how good it was. I'm actually kind of salivating at the thought now of speaking of somebody's tag team that are based over in the UK and also coming to OTT soon, Aussie Open. I'm thinking of the thought of them versus just a 2-on-2 match against FTR, possibly in Dynamite, even an independent show somewhere. I think that just how physical that could possibly be, because I know they've been in action in kind of 6-man tags, and they've been kind of wasted here and there, not getting a huge amount of spotlight, or they're quite often being viewed as the fall guys for somebody to come and run in and clear house. So I'd like to see them two teams kind of team up, depending if like Dax Harwood actually has a shoulder injury or whatnot, or if that was just part of everything we played into. So I think going forward, that'd be something exciting. Like Shota Umino, I thought, was watching him in Limerick last week, just seeing him, like, he looked so polished, he looked so physical, like he was leading LJ Cleary through the match incredibly well. And again, like, he seemed to spend like hours out of the merch stand before the show. So I say very much like with his own kind of grasp of English, he just decided, he brought LJ Cleary through that match, had the crowd building throughout the match for a relatively inexperienced wrestling crowd, I suppose the best way to put it. Had everything at a fever pitch by the end. So yeah, it was incredibly good. And Pac, like you say, like the effort he's gone through, particularly through COVID, whereby he'd have to come over, he'd be missing for weeks on end, that he comes over to Jacksonville, he probably has to isolate for a week or two before he can perform, just for 1 or 2 shows, flies back to the UK, may have to sit in a hotel in Newcastle before he can go home and see his kids and family. So the commitment he's shown, kind of flying back and forth, and then the opportunities he's had where he's picked up wins against like Kenny Omega, etc., and then he's been in world title matches like Double or Nothing last year in Jacksonville, where he didn't not necessarily get the spotlight that it was probably deserved. Like, that match kind of built around Orange Cassidy and that 3-way being the kind of the focal point, and possibly the person to take the title off Kenny Omega. So I was kind of going into it thinking that would be the person that deserves it the most. And I think if you kind of watch it, Tony Khan is kind of the antithesis of booking cards like a WWE would. Like, WWE, regardless of kind of tenure or who deserves it, will just kind of go, who's the flavor of the month. Now, I thought with Miro coming back that a lot of people would expect Miro to win, but if you kind of watch the way Tony books, he does gradually kind of build people up to title contention, be it like Scorpio Sky. He wins the brass ring tournament a year previous, and a year later is the TNT champion. So a year ago, Pac is in the world title opportunity match, and now a year later he's winning the All Atlantic title. So yeah, I think that probably made the most sense. It's a bit like similar booking as you'd find in New Japan, the way kind of Gogo books title winners. So yeah, it couldn't be better. And even from listening to William Regal's Gentleman's podcast during the week, the kind of glowing references he's giving Pac throughout that interview is kind of really well deserved. And I think people are really getting to a stage where they really do appreciate the talent and the whole package Pac really is, but he's possibly been overlooked just because of his possibly due to his previous record within WWE, where he was kind of just a cruiserweight, a guy who fits in and out, has a good match, he gives a good funny promo every so often, or he was calling Malachi Black the other week a big gangly weirdo. Yes, I think he's the type of guy you could put any sort of title on and he would elevate it. I think he should have been in TNT title contention long ago. But again, yeah, with that All Atlantic title, I think it does make sense to have that as a European-based title. And hopefully now, if Pac's going to be still traveling to and from the UK, he can maybe make more appearances with that title at shows like possibly Rev Pro or Progress if they're with their shows, the Snakebite or the Viper Tour up in Newcastle, but maybe appears there. So yeah, maybe hopefully you can hand that title over Europe now.
What do you think? I'm going to give you one last question and then I'll let you round up what you're doing in the next couple of weeks, the shows you're going to. What do you think the chances of Shibata versus Osprey at Rev Pro UK anniversary?
I don't know. Is Shibata fully cleared? I know he's had one or two matches since he's kind of returned to wrestling. I'm not overly sure. I think Will Ospreay will obviously be in a marquee match, whatever he's doing, and he's got a few Rev Pro appearances coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'd say he will be against somebody high profile from New Japan. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think defending the British title, and they'll probably get somebody, particularly with their anniversary show, they'll have somebody as high profile as they possibly can. So yeah, I'd say 50-50 on that one, maybe.
It'd be a great one. Okay, because you're going to, I'll let you tell us what shows are you going to be going to and covering for us.
Yeah, over the coming weeks, I'm going to try both the FFPW Grapple Games and OTT Poetry Slam are fantastically being held in the exact same night in the exact same city. So I'm gonna have to make a call on that close to the time, depending on the card and what's kind of more interesting at the time. Like I know like Aussie Open and Mike Bailey and a few other people are playing the OTT show. But we've also got the Grapple Games where they're highlighting a lot of really young Irish wrestlers for FFPW. So, and I'm also training with FFPW, so I might be obliged to go to that one. So the OTT have also got their anniversary show that's coming this October. They've got the likes of Mac Cardone and a few other people announced to come perform already. They're also having their first ever UK-based show in Wolverhampton the night before that, on the 29th of October. They'll also have a show coming up yet to be announced. It'll be this coming August in Smithfield and Dublin also. I'll be traveling over to the UK in the coming months. I'll be going to the Rev Pro anniversary show on the 20th and 21st. I'll also be going to the 24th and 7th Progress show over in the UK as well. Now I spent a bit of time with the Progress guys over in WrestleMania weekend, so I'll hopefully be able to get in, chat to a few of them. Obviously the Cardiff show coming up, I'm going to that. I'll be going to the ICW show that weekend. I'll be going to the TNT, the Progress, the Rock Culture show as well. So trying to fit it as much as I possibly can within my budget. So yeah, a lot in the agenda, a lot coming up. But I'm also going to the 1PW show at the end of October up in Doncaster. Excellent. So yeah, so I've blown my annual leave and budget on everything wrestling over the coming months. So yeah, lot in the agenda and really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, you'll be back on this show to review all of those incredible shows, because really enjoyed giving us the OTD and the FFP roundup there, and that was fantastic. Next time, obviously, we'll try and get you on with Dan as well, because that'd be awesome. Get you to my usual co-host on the Team Type podcast. But I will let you get back to your holiday. Don't go miss that sun. It's beautiful. It's Portugal.
Fantastic. You're your top man, Andrew. #Irish Wrestling.
Indeed. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And back to me at the studio. And we're back. Thank you very much, me. We are here once again.
God, you were awesome.
Just, and Mark, what a fantastic new addition to the team. Got lots of experience and somebody who knows the Irish scene, which, as I say, we've ignored it a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go on to some a bit of a further roundup. We're going to try and do this as quickly as possible. There is still a lot to go through. Some big news stories for a lot of small and big promotions. Alike.
Should we start with One Pro Wrestling?
Yeah.
1PW introduced the 1P Club, an exclusive Patreon service. Also announced that the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels will face Cara Noir. Oh, it's going to be so good. At New Twist of Fate on the 1st of October. Also announced Ruby Soho versus Session Moth Martina in a rematch from their AEW Dark Encounter. And already announced we have RVD with Katie Forbes versus Mark Haskins with Vicky Haskins. Mickey James versus Lizzie Evo. Ace Austin, Alexander Hammerstone, Michael Oku, Robbie X, Scotty Rourke, The British Invasion, Greg Burridge, Nathan Cruz, Ulf Herman, and Will Cruz.
Yeah, a lot of talent, a lot of great matches, I'm sure, still to come from 1PW. I think these are the right choices here. Cara Noir and Mark Haskins are going to be able to carry the load in these matches against RVD and Christopher Daniels, allowing RVD and Daniels to have sporadic moments of explosion and comebacks.
That might be necessary for RVD. I genuinely don't feel it's necessary for Daniels.
And then, of course, what do you think for Ace Austin? Ace Austin, I was thinking Ace Austin versus Michael Oku and Robbie X versus Alexander Hammerstone.
I think that would work very well, but I would rather see Alexander Hammerstone versus Will Cruz.
That'll be a good one. Who are you going to put against Ace Austin?
Against Ace Austin, Scotty Rourke.
Nice. There we go. Different opinions. Let's go on to Wrestle Carnival. There is a lot to go through Wrestle Carnival. With Wrestle Carnival, Alex Windsor is off to Japan to challenge Maki Itoh, will no longer be at the Ring of Masters show, so she will no longer be defending the Queen of the Carnival Championship, and that is on the 10th of July in Coventry. Charlie Morgan and Jetta will now be contested for the interim title, and Lana Austin will now face US independent standout Becca, or is Becca, or B3CC. Yeah. Becca.
I couldn't they just have had a number one contenders match?
Yeah, I kind of agree.
But then again, if Alex Windsor's going to be away for a little while, it might well cover themselves.
Yeah.
So yes,
and interim titles, they're all the rage right now, didn't they? AEW doing recently. But yeah, it should be a good one. And of course, our colleague, Mr. Stephen Soudan, the tribal chief of the Big Fat Geeks, he will be at this show, and I'm sure he'll be providing us with feedback for it.
He will indeed, because we got feedback from him for UBW, which we must mention in a minute.
Yes.
On the 7th of August at the anniversary show in Nottingham, Lizzie Evo will face Emerson Jane. Also announced, Pure Beef will welcome Lycos Jim to the carnival. It's not the kind of welcome you're going to want. Adam Maxted, Gene Money, and Spike Trevay will all be making their carnival debuts and are set to compete in the Big Top Contract match, Triple Threat. Nice. Wrestle Carnival also announced the first Pro Wrestling Noah roster member for their anniversary show will be the current GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion and member of the Stinger faction, Hayata.
Yeah, a great performer. I've been watching Noah recently because of Chris Ridgeway, and yeah, he's definitely for me one of the top guys out I know for the junior heavyweight division. I look forward to seeing him, because I will be at the 7th of August show at Pro Wrestling No Wrestle Carnival show, and I'm absolutely looking forward to that. And I will be providing feedback on that show. Right. Slightly touchy subject here.
Yeah.
But we can't ignore it.
No. Wrestle Carnival announced Paul Robinson as part of their upcoming Charles Crowley's Funhouse event in London on the 10th of September. This was met with a negative reaction online. If you notice on many recent posts, it has been said that the last three Wrestle Carnival shows, the next three Wrestle Carnival shows, will be the last three shows. We can only hope that this is a change in wording and that things will continue in the way that they are. However, there might be a reason behind this.
Yes, possibly House of Honor, a new project maybe coming from. So people know that we are very close with Wrestle Carnival. and I'm going to try and be really as unbiased as I possibly can. Now, I'm not sure how he worded it and whether he worded it in the correct way. He said maybe he didn't, but I do want to feel like we need to cover a couple of information, because I saw a lot of misinformation with regards to some of the posts that came from. One, I do not believe Gary Ward was pressured into using Paul Robinson by Will Osprey. That is a ridiculous comment to make, and just really, he would not intentionally endanger anybody. Is another thing. Now, the investigations that he's mentioned were carried out by Progress and by RCWA. I saw a few people, well, it was done by Progress and RCWA. We can't trust Progress or RCWA because Progress, and they had their bad things, and RCWA are just Will Osprey's boys. Right, so I'm going to cover this. The investigations were carried out by Equity, an independent third party investigated them. Not Progress, not RCWA, not in Wrestle Carnival. It was carried out by Equity. One of the other things where he mentioned about a letter that apparently written by the parents of the original person who made the accusation that said Paul Robinson shouldn't be. Now, again, this wasn't a letter that Gary received. This was actually just a letter provided as part of the Equity investigation. So it was actually Equity who received this letter, not Wrestle Carnival. And I just want to make that clear. I also believe he acted within all best interest. I also commend him for listening to the audience as well. So whilst, yeah, I feel like he did the right thing, he did everything right. The way he announced the situation wasn't right. Maybe the wording wasn't correct, but what he was doing was trying to do the right thing. And to insinuate that he would intentionally put people in danger, or to insinuate any way that he would be bullied into having performers for him, I think are baseless remarks. I also recommend that people actually look into the original accusation and not the malfeasance about things like he was in a grooming gang, which is, again, just so far from removed from what the accusation was. Now, it's not my place to talk about the accusation, although I wrote one of the original articles that had the original accusation. I just want to leave it at that I do believe everything was done correctly and with the interest of safety of both fans and performers. Let's do something positive. Why don't you read Stephen's UBW report?
Because I haven't got it ready.
I tell you what, I will quickly do WWE Network, NXT UK, which I don't technically have ready myself. Right? I'll ready that, you ready that, and we'll meet in the middle.
I've got the report here from Mr. Stephen Southern. Square One Championship match was the first from the UBW show. This was from Royston last weekend. Adonis Payne versus Leo Edwards. Adonis had a new entrance gear which looked awesome, full of gladiatorial get-up. As always, Payne was on top form in the ring, being a complete dick to the crowd. Leo Edwards is definitely providing that he should be lined up to be the next Square One champion. Highlight of the match was Adonis hitting Flair with the walk and some chops in the corner before going on to imitate Flair with a the Rock with a people's elbow. Lots of imitations going on there. Leo Edwards was ready throughout and reversed the most electrifying move in all of sports entertainment into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, but only got a 2 count with his roll-up. Artemis was at ringside to help Adonis by distracting the ref, and he then slid the title in. Adonis was about to use the title when he was caught by Nick the ref, who took the belt off him. Leo then got hold of it and smacked Adonis in the head and lost via DQ. Chase Anthony then came out and told Adonis that he'll be defending his title against Leo Edwards at the Square One event on July the 9th in Great Ashby in a no DQ match. Tag titles were on the line next. Westside Heat versus Paul Hubris and Ricky Calvert. This was the match that Stephen had been really looking forward to because he hadn't seen Westside Heat perform before, but we both have seen Smashing Mike and think he is just absolutely phenomenal. Great moves. Calvert took a big beating, There was a beautiful springboard senton from JT. Then the Meme team jumped West Side Heat after the bell and beat them down. Memes got on the mic and told Smashing Mike he hadn't forgot about him, brought up the time he caused Mike to lose his Lung Lions champion to Hustle Malone. He said that Mike was a British tag team champion and he was going to take that from him as well, and declared that Memes was going to have a tag match in Stockfold on July the 23rd, where he would become the British tag team champions with his partner, which caused his partner to give him a bit of a look. Mm. Harley Harris versus Amira. This was Harley's debut in UBW. It was the first time that Stephen had seen Amira, who was just a massive ball of energy, dancing her way down to the ring, bouncing all over the place, and clearly well over with the crowd. They had a solid match with Harley getting the win with a dirty pin. Styx then took on Levi Muir. This was a classic wily old veteran versus an up-and-comer. And it was also big men slapping meat, which, of course, we know that you do enjoy, Andy.
Yes.
Muir got the last laugh with the win, and this is the second time that Levi has been at UBW. Both times he has been excellent, has been really over with the crowd. Stephen is of the opinion he was criminally underused by NXT UK, and they really have missed an opportunity with him. Saito brothers versus Hugo Bloom and Ian Lazario. This was the match of the night, with the All Japan stars giving a really great show. Ian Lazario stepped in here for the missing Brad Tainen, and they did a great job. He really worked the crowd well and was hated. In true Japanese strong style, the Saito brothers really gave Hugo and Lazio some hefty slaps, their chests looking absolutely beaten like robins. In the end, Lazario left after Bloom kicked him out of the ring. Bloom was then cheered to the back and even made a high five with a small child. Are they going to make a face of the heavyweight heartbreakers? We will see. But there was a big splash off the top rope for the win by the Saitos. Main event, Mr. Charles Crowley versus Tajiri, the Trickster versus the OG Trickster. Crowley came to the ring with his balloons, ready to try and out-trick his opponent, but would it be enough to put away Tajiri? In short, no. Fun match, the Crowley able to show the Japanese buzzsaw his magic hat trick before using his helium balloons to help lift his shoulders up from the pin. Eventually, after taking a springboard stunner from Crowley, Tajiri hit him with the green mist. He then went to Crowley's corner and found a balloon with a question mark on it. He held this over Crowley's face and burst it, which caused white powder to fly over Crowley's face, so he got green misted and white powdered. Tajiri got the pin for the win. UBW are consistently putting on good shows, and her reputation is growing. The fact they have an ECW, WWE, NJPW legend appear in a small town in Hertfordshire says it all. 5 Sugar Show.
Really does, and such a great place for young fans to get to know some wrestlers, and certainly a great place for some young wrestlers. And as he says, some great talent coming in there. Saito brothers, Tajiri, yeah, Levi. great for them. I'll do so. NXT UK. First of all, it was heartbreaking as Ashton Smith and Oliver Carter had to relinquish the tag team titles that they had just won. Oh, this was horrible. This was so horrible. And what was even worse is Ashton Smith delivered probably it has to be his best promo today, when he gave the fire that I'm gonna come back and this is such a shame. But yeah, good luck to him, and hopefully he recovers, and there will be a multi-man tag team match for the championship in the main event of this show. Sarai then introduced herself to Mako Satomura, and Millie McKenzie just stood in the background there, and then Mako said that Sarai's not the only new person that's going to be coming over, and then suggested that Mako needed Amelia had to impress her in the next match against whoever the new person coming over is. Hint the fact that maybe Mako Satomura is not all that impressed at how Mackenzie's been doing on NXT UK, and it's fair. Charles Samuels then complains about Wolfgang to Sid Scala, and then Wolfgang was standing behind him, and then they decided they'll have a match next week or something. I don't know. Myla Grace then took on Isla Dawn in, it happened. Williams then wants to know who's underneath the mask, and I know you've been in there, and I could care less.
I've been enjoying how Kenny Williams has been acting.
Yeah, I don't know. It was not all that for me. No. And right.
I've also enjoyed the fact that there has been some long-term storytelling.
And then Noam Dar contemplates that he should retire on top as an undefeated heritage champion, and Sid Scala basically said no and would arrange something. Nina Samuels then took on Sarai. This is the first time I've really got to see Sarai in NXT, and I'm not impressed.
Oh.
No, I don't like this gimmick. Apparently she's a schoolgirl, but then she turns into the princess and the sun warrior of the sun, and it's very Sailor Moon Power Rangey and a little insulting.
Yeah. Oh well,
then,
we'll enjoy the Ivy Nile match that we had before.
Yeah. Blair Davenport's going to be making her return though soon.
Excellent.
Then Zaya Brookside and Eliza Alexander then took the mick out of Sarai. That was good. And then there was a fatal 4-way tag team title match that had Mark Andrews and Wild Boar, Dave Mastiff and Jack Starr, Die Famille and Brooke Jensen and some other American person.
Who?
Brooke Jensen and some other American person. That's what I just said. Brooke Jensen, an American person. The American people, they came over. They were a lot bigger than all of the British people, by the way. A lot big. Mark Andrews and Wild Boar, of course, the least intimidating tag team to exist since the other least intimidating tag team of Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. Jack Stars and Dave Mastiff. I still don't like this tag team, and this was just a fatal 4-way tag team, so it just chaos. I don't like these matches. Overall, I'm going to give this show.
Who won?
The Americans bloody won.
Oh God.
Yeah, and just for that, because I've had enough of it, because I've listened to your reviews lately. They've had these Americans coming over here, and they seem to be going over the British talent, and I'm going to give this show one sugar because of that.
I can't really argue. They've taken the tag team tournament scheme that's been going for months and just thrown it in the bin.
Well, that's understandable. The fact that Smith, I feel so sorry for Smith and Carter. I'm really looking forward to Oliver Carr going on and having a great run, because again, he'll deserve to go on. Maybe he should be the one to take the Heritage Cup next. I think he would be a great representative for that on the European front. As I say, I don't. Nina Samuels, Isla Dawn. The witchy gimmick, the Damien Demento stuff. I don't.
Maybe it'll improve in the next few weeks. We shall see.
Hopefully.
Right, let's get through some more news.
Yeah, this is getting long.
Here we go. It is getting on. North Wrestling NCL. Liam Slater will defend the North Wrestling Championship at their sold-out 5th anniversary show, Party Till You Puke, on the 9th of July. 9th of July is a busy day for wrestling. He will face Axel Tiska, which is pretty awesome. Plus, Joe Hendry will welcome Scott Garland to the Anarchy Brewery. Scott Garland, of course, Scotty Too Hotty. Also, the Tag Team Championship Tournament semi-finals will feature Crash Boat, friends of the show, versus Shreddy and Adam Maxted, who've both been on the show, versus Lizzie Evo and Tonga, who haven't been on the show. The winner will go on to face Man Like DeReese and Leon Slater.
Man Like DeReese has been on the show.
He has indeed.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people on our show. It's fantastic. Go check out all those interviews. Joe Hendry versus The Worm. God, that's going to be I want to know the video already. I'm desperate to find out what music he's going to do for that, because you know it's going to be bloody good. And I'll tell you what, Liam Slater versus Axel Tischer is going to be an absolute phenomenal match. A severely underrated talent, a phenomenal wrestler is Liam Slater, and good to see him get that. The winners of that tag team match will now face the other winners of the other semi-final, which was Leon Slater and Man Like Dries. So I'm hoping for Crash Boat versus Leon Slater and Man Like Dries, because that's going to be so much fun.
Black Country Championship Wrestling, friends of the show. Dave Bomber Mastiff will make his independent wrestling return to his Black Country home as he competes at Black Country Championship Wrestling's Empire show, as he faces off with Kian the Fox Kelly.
How big is that is for Black Country Wrestling? I must admit, I've known about this quite some time, because we talked about it off screen, the fact that they did have Dave Bomber lined up, and so big for Mastiff to be returning to the Black Country. I really think he needs a real strong independent run. Maybe I think he should take a step away from NXT UK, have a great independent run, and then go back, maybe. But I think he could have a great time on the proper independent scene right now.
And I think he'll definitely draw people in.
Yeah.
So also announced for the Empire show, 0121, Man Like Dries and Dan Maloney will be in action as they face the Clarkwood brothers once again, with the current scores tied at 1 apiece. Who will get the decisive victory and prove to be the most dominant tag team in the Black Country? And much more incredible action.
Yeah, I'm so pleased for the Black Country Championship guys. As you say, really, really good guys. They've been on our show. They've been doing some great work of improving and getting some of the Black Country Championship talent highlighted, and they've had some big stars over there. You know, Tyson Fury we've been on their show. I mean, not Tyson Fury, Tyson T-Bone.
I knew who you meant.
Yeah, Dave Massive. Anyway, Soft Pro Wrestling. Soft Pro Wrestling Commander Stephanie Sterling has been added to that Crown Cup elimination match that already features Kid Bandit, Ian Skinner, Big Guns Joe, Smashing Mike, Simon Miller, Yeston Reese, HD Drake, in what is going to be probably the most entertaining match anywhere ever.
I think it is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And my money is on Mr. Ian Skinner.
Ian Skinner. Also in action, Joseph Connors versus Warren Banks, the 8-7 versus the CPF team of Orlando and Black, Aurora Tevez versus Lucia Lee, Joey Hayes versus Danny Duggan, the Dream House Deathmatch, Harley Hudson versus Mariah May, Benjamin Back versus RJ Singh, and of course Myra Reed makes his UK debut against Malik and Chris Ridgeway in a triple threat. Soft Pro Wrestling, I love what they've been doing. They look like a phenomenal up-and-coming promotion over in Manchester. I urge people to go see this October 1st show, only because I will most likely be in Germany myself and won't be able to go to that show. But I really urge people, go see that show.
World Association Wrestling. The former page, Saraya, will be returning home for WWE's Fightmare 4, stepping back into a WAW ring for the first time in over a decade. What role will she play at the show? Matt Cardona, of course, was previously announced for this show, and he is going to face Ricky Knight Jr. Cardona's wife, Chelsea Green, will also be part of the show, facing Saraya's mother, Saraya Knight. Paige's brother, Zach Zodiac, will be facing their father, Roy Knight, in a champion versus champion, with Zach, the current and reigning European champion, and Roy, the current world champion. And finally, one of my favourites, Supermex Hernandez, will be appearing at Fightmare, and he is going to take on PJ Knight. I love Hernandez.
I absolutely love Hernandez. Talk about somebody they dropped the ball with when it comes to TNA. I mean, there's a few, but Hernandez stands out for me. He was just such great talent, so much charisma.
Body check was just so good.
Really, really was. Slam Masters, huge news for Slam Masters at their next show in Cardiff, which is on the 2nd of October. It is the Brawl in the Banking Hall, and you'll never guess what. They've got Impact Superstar, Bullet Club member, Ace Austin on their show, as well as NXT UK's Mark Andrews, plus top independent superstars, Nico Angelo, Man Like Doris, Brendan White, Elijah, LK Messinger, Mariah May, and now Warren Banks has been added to that. Again, friends of the show, so shout out to them. They are some big announcements. Ace Austin, of course, he's going to be October 1st on the 1PW show, so obviously they were just quick to act, get him in 2nd of October. Fair play. I hope it's him versus Mark Andrews.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Although if it is, they won't be allowed to put it on YouTube, and that'll be great for the live crowd, though. But it'd be unfair to people like us who want to watch that.
Love to see him versus Therese.
Oh yeah, Ace versus Therese. That would be a fantastic match.
Right. British Wrestling Revolution.
Last story for today.
Okay. BWR's 5th anniversary show has sold out. Well done, guys. Kip Sabian will be returning home to a full house as he faces Robbie X, plus Joseph Connors versus RKJ, Gia Adams versus Tonga, Man Like Therese versus 2-Bit versus Powerhouse Blake versus Big Guns Joe versus Miles Kamen versus Will Cruz. No wonder it's sold out.
Yeah, that's an absolutely super show. And that is literally catching us up with all the biggest, latest stories that we could possibly think about. We hope you enjoyed this show. We have been on it for quite some time. We've got another 30 minutes of marking thing. So with that said, just remember, don't feed the trolls.
Good night.